the ability to catch the football, I can't imagine what type of weapon you would have been in like a Andy Reid offense, or a Sean McVay offense nowadays. So, is there anybody in the league that you really like their game or you enjoy watching?
It's the era of the quarterback, and I really like Mahomes. I really like Lamar Jackson, but he's not as fast as they are, but his name escapes me right now. The Bills quarterback.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Yeah, Josh Allen really, they do some good things.
Yeah.
And that's what I think. Well, I'm not going to think on that. but I really like the tight end. I mean, after I played tight end, I refused to go back to running back. I think that's why my career got cut a little short where I was traded to. I'm not. No, every team has different blocking styles and blocking assignments. Mm-hmm. And once I was traded to the Raiders, a lot of people don't know I played my last year with the Raiders when they were in L.A. I think Al Davis at the time wanted me to go back to the backfield.
Okay.
But I was in my fourth year playing tight end, but he knew that I was drafted as a running back, fullback slash from the I formation and the veer. But I'm like, come on, guys. I'm right here next to in front of this guy now, 2 feet from him.
Uh-huh.
I'm not used to that running start at 7 yards and we bumping heads like rams in the night.
So that brings to mind a question I want to tag off of is down the road as we got into and really it was the continued evolution of Bill Walsh's offense that I think created the H-back position as we know it. That would have been probably a tailor-made position for you, where one play you're lining up in the backfield, another play you're lining up, or you're going in motion. You're going from motion from a wide receiver position to the backfield. That would have been something that you would have probably excelled at had it evolved more by that time.
Yeah. Well, I want to take my hat off to Bill Walsh and Eddie Bartolo. Mm-hmm. They were patient enough with me for me to move me and give me a chance to learn tight end. And once I learned it, I took off with it. Even in '84, the Super Bowl 19, I started Russ Francis got hurt, and I started the last 8 games. Yeah. I caught 51 passes that year, and I thought he was getting ready to take off, but you got to bring your starter back, and and those guys that's good enough to take up what the starter left off. We still got to take a back seat. You might at 26 years old, you don't understand it then,
right.
But you got to do what you got to do. I've been a coach since then, and and a lot of my players wasn't happy with the fact that once the starter got back or the starter got all the playing time that they had to do what they do. But I want to say this: the reason I had hands, but Bill, we didn't have a practice squad back then.
Oh yeah, right.
So we had to do the other team's offense. We was a scout team for the defense.
Okay.
And he liked the way I ran routes and ran down the field, and which I thought it was a natural that everybody could run a route. I didn't know you have to be taught to run a route.
Yeah.
And so when I kept getting open against our number one defense, man, and so that to be versatile really gives you a leg up. It really does. And I'm sure when they was in their meetings thinking about what are we going to do with this guy, and then he just overheard me one day, and that's why sometimes I don't talk too loud. He said, "Hey man, I'll put 40 points on and wear number 89 instead of number 49 and be a tight end," because somebody was praising me on how good I did on the scout team. And Bill heard me. He said, "Are you serious?" So when he made that decision, we drafted Roger Craig, and he called me in and he talked to me and he said, "Hey, you got hands good enough to be an X receiver?" I'm like, "No, these guys run too much." "Do you want to play backup, running back?" I'm like, "I don't want to play running backup to where I was drafted in the first round, 13th pick at." I say, "So let me try tight end." I mean, because in the West Coast offense, you don't have to be big. to be a tight end in the West Coast offense. That's evident now from what you're saying, because we really didn't block that much.
Yeah.
We didn't, it wasn't as wide open as it is now, but we really didn't block that much. And the blocking schemes with Bod McKittrick, who was a great offensive lineman, the blocking schemes were just so simple. And as long as you know your discipline, you're good.
Coop, you have a Abilene Christian Conference champion to my left, Jamal January. And when we first started, we were thinking, since he went to a small school, I asked Jamal, I said, what track events do you think he did? And Jamal thinks you were a decathlete. He says you could have done everything. But you already stole a little bit of our thunder because you said you ran the 400. So let's talk about them track days at a small school. What's your favorite? And what do you remember about being a track athlete?
Well, my favorite, I didn't get to run it, was a 220. That's what they called it the 220
back
then.
Yeah, that's right.
Meters.
Exactly. Everything was still yards back then.
Yeah, they called it the 220. I ran third leg on the 4x1. And I ran, of course, if you're the fastest guy in the 400, you anchor the mile relay of the 4x4, as they call it now. And I threw the shot put and the discus.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
The shot put, I threw it 55 feet, never touched the weight.
God.
Never touched the weight. We didn't have weights in high school, guys.
Yeah.
It was what you did in the summertime. And some guys may do push-ups or something like that. But it was all about the hay hauling, the watermelons, and the post hole digging, and like I tell people, is whatever else my dad hooked me to pick up, And so it was our third leg of the 4x1.
How is that lifestyle though? The farm, small town lifestyle helped you get that old strength up. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you dig post holes with that iron post hole digger, man, and you pulling that dirt out, and it seemed like every hole my dad dug was 3 feet or better, it does a lot of things as far as your training, with the chasing animals and doing this and picking up stuff. It's all about leverage. And a lot of guys don't work on leverage because they have machines. If you look at it where, I'm not saying you wouldn't have as many injuries, but it's all about leverage and the way you work, and if you're pulling against an animal, or if you're wrestling with one because you don't have a rope, then and you run everywhere. If you're out in the woods and you're about to that animal, I'm not going to say which one, whether it's a cow, pig, rabbit, or whatever. If that animal will get away, Dad gonna make you go look for him all day anyway.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes you ready for things. I mean, out on Highway 21 headed toward College Station, I know we got a Longhorn in here, and I'm gonna say this: the reason I didn't go to college A&M is because they had this guy named Curtis Dickey. Who was my size, same age, same grade, and who needs Earl Cooper when you have Curtis Dickey? We about the same size, and he was a world-class sprinter. So, but I like to give those guys props, and I do have friends that I played against in the Southwest Conference, even though they beat us pretty bad. I still have friends that admired me for the toughness and the tenacity that I played with, and I credit them to get me where I am. Yeah.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes, sir.
I'm hanging with Mr. Cooper. Good morning, everybody. The professor is in the house. Anyway, quick question for you. The surface you played on back in your day,
yes.
I know Earl Campbell has said that it may have been contributed to his physicality now and his lack of ability. What was your favorite venue to play on, and what was your least favorite to play?
My favorite, goodness gracious, Professor, I hadn't even thought about that.
That's what I'm here.
As venue, you're talking about the grass or turf?
Grass, turf. I mean, at that point, the AstroTurf was just really coming into its own. And I thought a lot of colleges or pro stadiums went to AstroTurf because it looked good on TV.
Yeah. Well, I like playing grass because I was raised on grass. But the least favorite was that tartan surface. You know, I just told my friends, I don't think when Dallas called me to try out after I had been released by the Raiders, I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to play on that tartan surface every Sunday, you know, because it's almost like just rolling. If you ever been tartan surface, it's like rolling carpet on over pavement. You know, the best field, I can't even say what the best field was, but the Astrodome, you know, they just zipped that out and rolled it out. So every time I went to the Astrodome, I had 2 sprained ankles afterwards, and it was the same thing when I played with the 49ers. So I'm gonna have to say grass.
And I remember back in those days, and you young guys probably have never seen it. Maybe if you watch NFL films, was the popular era of multi-sport stadiums, and you would actually play on the dirt infield of a day, especially out in California. I think every, I guess Candlestick certainly was a dual sport stadium. The Raiders were playing in a dual sport stadium, the Oakland Coliseum, and so and then even on the turf stadiums, Philadelphia was famous for it. Their field was so bad they would put down patches of turf like wrapped around. I swear it had to have been a plywood over the dirt because they had dirt and turf baseball. And that was an awful surface, and it caused a lot of injuries.
And it's funny you mentioned that because we always, at Candlestick, we always, like, man, we got to get baseball season over with. You know, because of the wind at Candlestick, that was actually crushed and ground brick in the infield. And they would water that stuff seemed like every at the end of every quarter. They would water it. And my thing is we were playing Atlanta Falcons, and I don't know how I got tackled kind of crazy, and it was that I got tackled, and it tore through my pants and like 2 or 3 layers of my skin on my hip. So I'm, you know, for the next 2 weeks, you know, I had the biggest strawberry in the world. So I'm not talking about the kind you're getting for Valentine's Day today either, you know, and kind of driving, and I had a stick shift at the time. It wasn't that much fun. You know, but it has to be that. I forgot all about the dual purposes. But it has to be that. But Candlestick and Shea Stadium the same way. A lot of people don't know about Shea Stadium because it's no longer with us, but I'll tell you, we went up there and played the Jets, and, you know, to be in those, I never played at Lambeau Field, but to be in those historical stadiums, man, it's just a certain thing that just, you think about it and it brings out of you. So I can imagine going to Lambeau. The one time that we play the Packers on the road is when they used to split their home games between County Stadium, Milwaukee County Stadium, and Lambeau, and just that was the year that when we went up there that we played at Milwaukee County Stadium.
I just want to go back to the Super Bowl, and you got to blow out that was. But the reason why is because that front four for Philly was just dominating. From an offensive standpoint, I'm just curious to know if you ever had a game like that where the opposing team just wouldn't let y'all run a route 5 yards down the field without the quarterback being tackled. What is that like just as a receiver, knowing that, man, they can't even block these guys for 3 seconds. So what am I running a route for?
Well, I had a front row seat to one of the best defenses in the NFL back in the day with Fred Dean, Michael Carter, Jim Stuckey, and those guys, and they brought that same kind of heat, you know. So, but the thing is, what's different now with the receivers is we weren't allowed to get shut down like that, you know, because we worked on the physicality of getting off the ball, you know. We would have to stay there all day through the whole thing if you couldn't get off a 1-and-1 jam. You know, it would just get physical between the DBs and the receivers, and it just worked. Even the linebackers with the tight ends, you know. So, but no, we never. After my rookie year, we never really got shut down like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wanted to ask you real quick. You coming out of Rice, and and you talked about the great friends you had in the Southwest Conference, and those Rice teams, they just weren't very good. I mean, Rice has always had, there's a reason John F. Kennedy talked about the Texas Rice series in his speech. That was the way it was. And if you go back and look, you were drafted round 1, pick 13.
Right.
And if you held up those stats today, and you told whoever's picking 13th in the draft, we're going to draft this running back with these stats, you might have a riot on your hand. Talk about what it was that Bill Walsh especially saw in you to bring you out of Rice in a first-round draft pick.
I really don't know, man. 'Cause even on draft day, I was guessing, but I think it had to be that I finished 10th in the nation in receiving, off of a 1 in 10 team.
Yeah.
Fit and what he talked to me about is how can a kid be playing as hard as you play in the fourth quarter, and you're 35 points down, and you don't have a dog's chance in heck to win?
Yeah.
And that's the way I was raised, and that's the way my dad taught me, that if you're going to be out there doing something, you do your best, or you just go to the sideline and sit down.
Yeah.
And luckily for me, I was invited to the Blue-Gray game. Mm-hmm. I was invited to the East-West Shrine All-Star game, and I think LaVelle Edwards showcased Mark Wilson, and that really helped me because we just threw passes and ran sweeps the whole time.
Okay.
While the other team over there in the East, they were beating each other up. And then I was headed back from the East-West Shrine game, and it was late. I had stopped in my hometown and went through Lexington, small town dime box, and I'm headed back, and it's late. How college kids are. Mm-hmm. You stop and see everybody on the way because semester is starting. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I get back late. I go to my 8 o'clock class. I'll do this. I'll do that. Then I'll go back and go to sleep because I don't have to work out. Mm-hmm. So I have to go to off season. Somebody knock on the door. Ray Perkins want you to come down to the Senior Bowl. So when I attribute it also to the Senior Bowl because everybody's there, the coaches and stuff, the All-American linebackers couldn't cover me with my route running and catching. And I tell this all the time, and I'm not bragging. We ran an out and up. Jimmy Jordan from Florida State was the quarterback, and I don't want to call this guy name because he's good, and we always had a good time. Otis Wilson, Chicago Bears. Mm-hmm. I ran an out and up, and I'm going up the sideline, and we running about even. Maybe I have a step on him because of the out and up, and Jimmy Jordan just threw that ball down the sideline. I looked back. I didn't. And I could have turned and opened my shoulders, which a lot of guys don't do these days. Mm. You catch with your feet and your shoulders. You don't. It's not the route. You got to stop, open, catch. So what I did, I'm like, okay, I'm either gonna make this spectacular, or I'm just gonna miss the ball. Mm. So I'm looking back. The ball is going over my right shoulder to my left shoulder, behind my head, and I just put my hand back, caught it, brought it down with one hand, tucked it, and kept going. My right hand, I'm left-handed anyway, but my right hand never touched the ball.
I'll be damned.
Then you can see everybody just writing, So I think that with to continue to play hard and just give it your all. I think that's what got me. And plus, he could see how natural my hands were. Some people fight the ball, but my hands were pretty natural.
All right. Well, Earl, we appreciate you coming in. Coop, appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much. We're not going to rush you off. I know you got things to do, but we certainly appreciate you. We need to get to a break. We're going to come back after